When someone starts falling for you, their heart usually speaks before their mouth does. They may not admit their feelings openly, but their behavior begins to shift in ways they can't fully control. Attraction, especially when it's strong and genuine, has a way of slipping through the cracks of silence, showing up in glances, gestures, tone of voice, and body language. It's not always grand or obvious. In fact, the most revealing signs are often the quietest ones, the little things they do when they think you're not paying attention, or when they're trying hard not to look too eager. They may not come right out and say, "I like you," but the signs are there. You'll see it in the way their eyes follow you in a crowded room, or how their laughter becomes a little louder and more frequent when you're the one speaking. You'll notice how often they remember the small things you've said, things even you forgot, and how they bring you up in conversations with others, like you're a part of their everyday world. Even their silence can say something, like when they suddenly grow quiet or seem distant after you mention someone else. Their reactions, their positioning, the way their energy shifts around you, it all paints a picture far clearer than words could. These signs aren't about manipulation or playing games. They're about truth slipping out in moments they can't control. Feelings, especially deep ones, refuse to stay hidden for long. The heart always finds a way to speak, and it often uses the body, the eyes, and the smallest habits as its voice. Whether it's how they orient their body toward you, how easily they laugh at your jokes, or how jealous they get without realizing it, the truth is always bubbling just beneath the surface. If you're paying attention, you'll start to recognize the difference between polite behavior and emotionally charged signals. Someone who's truly into you doesn't just make time, they make space. In their words, in their thoughts, in their reactions, and even in the way they exist near you. They don't need to say anything. Their heart does all the talking. This is the language of unspoken affection. It's quiet, but it's real. And once you learn how to read it, you'll never miss the signs again. Because when someone likes you that much, they can try to hide it, but their actions always reveal what their words are too afraid to say. 1. They get nervous or awkward around you, but still try to stay close. When someone harbors deep feelings they haven't yet expressed, their emotions often show up in the most unguarded ways, especially through nervousness and awkward behavior. The very presence of the person they like stirs a kind of energy that disrupts their usual flow. They may stutter, fidget with their hands, or suddenly become overly self-conscious. But despite this internal storm, they won't walk away. They'll remain nearby, subtly drawn to you as if pulled by a magnet they can't resist or fully explain. That tension between nervousness and the desire to be close is one of the clearest, most sincere signs of hidden affection. It's not about polished conversations or confident flirting. It's about how they fumble yet stay. The nervousness is often involuntary. It reveals the emotional weight they assign to your presence. They may seem to lose their train of thought, overthink what they say, or second-guess their reactions. This is especially true for people who are normally composed. When they act differently around you, it's a silent confession their heart hasn't made yet. What makes this sign so telling is the contrast it creates. If they didn't care, they'd be relaxed. If they didn't want to impress you, they wouldn't be so aware of how they come across. The awkward laughter, the missteps in conversation, the blushing, those are all signs of someone emotionally affected by you. Yet, watch what they do after the awkward moment. They don't distance themselves. In fact, they often try to correct it by leaning in, starting another topic, or laughing at themselves. That effort is proof of a deeper intention, to stay present, even if they're not perfect. In some cases, they'll pretend they're not nervous at all, masking it with exaggerated confidence or humor. But the little signs still sneak out. The way they glance at you when you're not looking, the way their voice slightly trembles during personal conversation, the way they adjust their clothes or hair when they see you coming. These aren't just nervous habits. They're signs of someone trying to manage a heart that's louder than their words. And it's not always about nerves in conversation. Even their body language gives them away. They might shift positions often, play with objects on the table, avoid prolonged eye contact only to steal glances later. These behaviors signal that they are deeply aware of your presence and trying their best not to mess things up. But again, the key detail is they stay, they linger. They find reasons to be near you, even when they don't quite know what to say or how to act. That persistence, nervous, imperfect, yet constant, is a sign of something real. When someone likes you so much they can't hide it, their fear of ruining the moment becomes just as strong as their desire to experience it. They may not be smooth or charismatic, but they're there, showing up, fumbling through conversation just to be near you. And that says more than any carefully planned words ever could. 2. Their eyes keep finding you in a crowded room. There's something powerful about the way the eyes betray feelings, especially in moments when words haven't yet been spoken. When someone likes you more than they can hide, their gaze often becomes the loudest part of their body. In a room full of people, where conversations are flowing and distractions are plenty, their eyes seem to have only one place to rest, on you. They may not even realize how often it happens. It's an involuntary pull, like their attention naturally gravitates to wherever you are, even when they try to focus elsewhere. This kind of visual connection is different from casual glances or friendly observation. It's persistent but gentle, intentional yet subtle. Their eyes don't just pass over you, they linger. It might be for a second longer than it should be, or it might be a quick flicker every few minutes, but it happens over and over. It's as though they're checking in, grounding themselves, or simply admiring you from a safe distance. And the moment you notice it and meet their gaze, there's often a flicker of nervousness or a bashful smile, like they've been caught doing something they didn't mean for you to see. Even if they try to hide it, their eyes reveal everything. When they think no one's watching, their gaze softens. When you laugh, they watch. When you speak to someone else, they observe with quiet curiosity. It's not about jealousy or possession, it's about interest, admiration, and the magnetic draw that keeps pulling their focus back to you, no matter how lively the room is. Sometimes, they won't even look away quickly when caught. They'll hold your gaze, even if shyly, as if something inside them has decided that the risk of being seen is worth it. Other times, they'll look down fast, pretending to be distracted, trying to mask how transparent they've just been. But either way, the pattern repeats. Over and over, their eyes will find you again. It's instinct, not calculation. It's affection revealing itself before the person has had the courage to speak it. And what's especially telling is how their gaze behaves when you're not directly engaging with them. If you're talking to someone else, across the room, or simply lost in thought, their eyes still search for you. That kind of focus in the middle of so many other people speaks volumes. It's not about what you're doing, it's about who you are and what you've come to mean to them, even if they haven't said it out loud. There's also comfort in looking at someone you care about. So when their eyes keep returning to you, it may not just be about attraction. It might be about peace, safety, or even longing. They might be wondering if you notice them the same way, or they might just be memorizing the way you exist when you're unaware of them. That kind of quiet observation is full of emotion, often more honest than any confession could be. When someone likes you deeply, they can't stop their eyes from betraying them. In public, in private, in the middle of conversations or quiet silences, their gaze returns to you like a reflex, like gravity. They may not even understand it themselves, but if you notice it and it keeps happening, It's a sign their feelings have grown beyond their ability to hide them, because eyes don't lie, especially when the heart behind them is too full to pretend anymore. 3. They laugh too easily at your jokes, even the bad ones. Laughter is one of the most natural human reactions, but when it's tied to affection, it becomes more than just a response to humor. It becomes a form of connection. When someone likes you deeply, even the jokes you know aren't that funny still manage to make them laugh. Not because the joke was clever, but because it came from you. Their laughter is more about who said it than what was said. It's an emotional reflex, a way for their heart to say, "I enjoy you," without needing to use those exact words. This kind of laughter is usually softer, more genuine, sometimes even delayed, as if it's coming from a place of affection rather than amusement. They might laugh before the punchline is even finished, or continue laughing a little longer than the moment deserves. It's not forced. It's just amplified by how much they enjoy your presence. Even the corniest puns or awkward comments somehow sound charming when you're the one delivering them. That's because their emotions filter the moment, making it sweeter, lighter, and more memorable. Often this laughter carries with it a mixture of other signs: prolonged eye contact, leaning in, or touching their face or hair while laughing. These gestures aren't calculated. They're automatic responses to the emotional excitement they feel when interacting with you. It's their way of showing that they're fully engaged in the moment and in you. They're not just laughing at your joke, they're delighting in your energy, your delivery, and even the way you smile after saying something playful. And even when the joke completely misses the mark, when it's awkward, confusing, or objectively not funny, they still laugh, not out of pity, but because they're rooting for you. They want to encourage you, to affirm your effort, to show that being around you makes them feel good. Their laughter becomes a bridge, closing the gap between just friends and something deeper. It's a signal that they're emotionally invested, that they find you endearing in ways even you might not realize. Sometimes they might even use laughter as a shield, to hide how much they like you. They laugh too hard, too quickly, hoping it distracts from their racing heart. In these moments, laughter is their way of staying close to you without exposing themselves completely. It's both a reaction and a cover, sweet and vulnerable at the same time. What makes this behavior so meaningful is its consistency. One or two laughs could be coincidence, but if they always seem to find joy in your words, even when no one else does, it becomes a pattern, and patterns speak truth. You'll begin to notice it during conversations, over text, or in group settings where you're not even the center of attention. No matter what the context, their laughter finds you. And sometimes it's not even about jokes. It's the way you describe your day, your awkward moments, your passing thoughts. They laugh because they love how you experience the world. It's not about being funny. It's about being you. And in their eyes, that's already enough to bring a smile to their face and laughter to their lips. This kind of laughter doesn't need a punchline. It just needs you. That's when you know their feelings have reached a point they can no longer contain. Because when someone laughs too easily at your jokes, even the bad ones, it's not really about humor. It's about affection finding its way out, one smile at a time. 4. They bring you up in random conversations with others. When someone likes you more than they can hide, they start weaving you into the fabric of their everyday life, often without even realizing it. One of the clearest signs of this is when they bring you up in random conversations with other people. It might not always be obvious or dramatic, but your name slips into places it doesn't necessarily need to be. Whether they're telling a story, making a point, or recalling a memory, somehow you become a reference point. That's not accidental, it's emotional. This behavior reveals more than just admiration. It shows that you occupy their thoughts consistently. When someone is emotionally drawn to you, their mind naturally lingers on things you've said, done, or represent. So, when they're talking to others, these memories surface and blend into the dialogue. It could be as simple as, "She mentioned that once too," or "He actually showed me this song the other day." Little acknowledgements that you've become a part of how they see the world. Often, they may not even notice they're doing it. It feels casual to them, like a normal extension of their experiences. But to anyone paying attention, it's clear. You've left an impression they can't shake. Even when you're not around, they're talking about you. That says everything about how much space you take up in their heart and mind. Sometimes, it's the tone that gives it away. When they mention you, their voice shifts slightly, maybe softer, maybe more enthusiastic. There's a spark of warmth or fondness, a momentary change in energy that betrays how they really feel. Others might pick up on it too. Friends might tease them. Listeners might notice the repetition, but instead of stopping, they do it again, because thinking about you feels good and talking about you feels natural. What's even more telling is that they mention you in situations where it's not necessary. Maybe they're discussing something unrelated, and still, they manage to tie it back to you. This happens because the brain links what matters most. You've become part of their emotional vocabulary, part of their stories, part of how they explain the world to others. And it's not just about highlighting your actions. It's also about aligning themselves with you. They might share your interests with others, quote your opinions, or describe how you made them laugh. In doing so, they're subtly showing pride in knowing you, as if your presence in their life adds value to their own. It's an indirect way of telling people, "This person matters to me," without having to say it outright. It also reflects emotional vulnerability. To bring someone up in front of others is to invite a piece of their personal world into public space. That means they aren't just feeling something for you privately. They're allowing you to spill into conversations that might be casual, professional, or unrelated. That's a powerful indication of how deeply you've rooted yourself in their life. Sometimes they bring you up because they want others to know about you. Maybe they're testing the waters, seeing how people react. Or maybe they're simply excited, like someone who's found something beautiful and can't help but share it. They talk about you because it makes them happy. You've become the part of the story they look forward to telling. This behavior also shows that they're imagining you as part of their future. By blending you into everyday talks, they're mentally rehearsing what it would be like for you to be more involved in their life. It's subtle, but deeply revealing. So when someone starts bringing you up in random conversations, even when there's no real reason to, it's not just talk. It's a signal that you've become someone they carry with them, not just in moments with you, but in moments without you too. It means you're not just a passing thought, you're a constant one, and they're no longer trying to hide it. 5. They remember things you don't even remember saying. When someone likes you more than they're willing or able to admit, one of the most telling signs is how closely they pay attention to your words, even the ones you barely remember saying. In casual conversations, when you're just talking without thinking too deeply, they're listening with full attention. You might mention a favorite food in passing, share a childhood memory, or casually express a fear or a dream, and weeks later, they bring it up as if it just happened. That's not ordinary listening. That's emotional investment. What makes this behavior so powerful is its subtlety. They don't make a big show of it. You'll be surprised when they mention it, almost wondering how they even remembered. It could be something small, like a random song you once said reminded you of home, or a place you wanted to visit someday. They might refer back to a moment when you weren't even being serious, but they took it seriously because to them, your words carried weight. These aren't things people retain casually. They're remembered because you matter. This kind of memory shows focused attention. In a world full of distractions, truly remembering someone's unimportant details is a rare form of care. They were mentally present when you were speaking, even if it wasn't a significant conversation. They weren't just hearing your words, They were storing them, like pieces of a puzzle they wanted to understand better. That's not something people do for everyone. It's something people do when they feel deeply, quietly, and consistently. What's more telling is the timing. Sometimes you'll have forgotten you even shared that piece of information, but they'll remind you at just the right moment, when it's relevant, or when they want to surprise you with thoughtfulness. It could be something like bringing you your favorite snack when you're having a rough day, even though you only ever mentioned liking it once, or texting you a quote from a book you said you loved, even though it was months ago. These moments seem spontaneous, but they come from a memory shaped by affection. It also reveals emotional priority. When someone holds on to your words, even the insignificant ones, it means they value you. They don't just enjoy being around you, they actively seek to know you on a deeper level, and memory plays a big role in that. They're piecing together who you are, using everything you've ever said as clues. That attention is their way of showing you that you're not just someone passing through their life. You've taken up residence in their mind. This kind of remembrance is especially meaningful because it's often unspoken. They don't remember your words to impress you. They do it because they care. It's instinctual, not strategic. They might not even realize how much they remember until it slips out naturally during a conversation. And when it does, it's often so precise, so emotionally aligned, that it stops you in your tracks. You feel seen in a way that's rare. It also creates a unique emotional safety. When someone remembers what you've said, it tells you that you're being heard and understood, that your words don't disappear into thin air, that your voice matters. And when those memories are recalled with care or affection, it sends a quiet message. You are important to them, even when you're not trying to be. This behavior isn't about having a good memory. It's about having a soft spot for someone. You don't need reminders to remember what's close to your heart. So when someone remembers things you don't even remember saying, it means they've been paying attention to the quiet parts of you, the ones most people overlook. It means they've been holding on to pieces of you, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And that's something no one can fake. 6. They get a little jealous when you mention someone else. Jealousy, when subtle and unspoken, can be one of the clearest emotional signals that someone feels more for you than they let on. When someone likes you deeply but hasn't confessed it yet, even the simple act of you mentioning another person, especially in a positive light, can trigger something inside them. They may not say anything outright, but you'll notice a small shift. Maybe their smile falters for just a second. Maybe they go quiet. Maybe they change the subject or offer a dry comment. It's not dramatic, but it's there, and it speaks volumes. This kind of jealousy isn't about control or anger. It's about quiet insecurity. It comes from the fear of losing something they don't even officially have yet. When you talk about someone else, someone who made you laugh, who complimented you, who spent time with you, they suddenly feel threatened. Not because they don't trust you, but because they wish they were the one who made you feel that way. It's a vulnerable moment for them, where their hidden feelings rise up in ways they can't hide. Their body language often gives them away. Maybe they look down, shift in their seat, or give a half-hearted reaction. They might seem like they're listening, but their energy changes. You can feel the emotional distance start to build, not because they're upset with you, but because they're upset with how much they care. They weren't prepared to hear about someone else occupying your thoughts. In that moment, they realize just how deep their own feelings run, and sometimes they'll try to cover it up with sarcasm or jokes. They might tease you lightly or say something dismissive like, "Oh, you seem to talk about him a lot." But underneath that humor is a real concern. What if they're not the only one who sees you the way they do? What if someone else has already taken the space in your heart they quietly hoped for? You'll notice they suddenly become more attentive or competitive after those conversations. Maybe they compliment you more. Maybe they try to steer the topic back to the two of you. That's their way of reclaiming emotional ground. They're not trying to manipulate you. They're trying to hold on to a connection they haven't had the courage to claim yet. What's important to understand is that this kind of jealousy often comes from a place of emotional depth. They aren't just reacting to the idea of you with someone else. They're reacting to the fear that someone else might get to experience your kindness, your attention, your affection, before they had a chance to earn it. It's the kind of jealousy that comes not from entitlement, but from hope. Hope that they still have time to become something more in your life. They might also ask quiet questions, trying to understand what this other person means to you, not in an interrogating way, but gently, testing the waters, trying to gauge how serious the connection is. Deep down, they're hoping your answers give them some reassurance that your heart is still open. And if they don't react at all, sometimes the silence is the loudest reaction. If they suddenly become withdrawn, distracted, or colder than usual, it's not because they've lost interest. It's because they're trying to suppress how much they feel. They might convince themselves they have no right to be jealous, and instead of expressing it, they retreat inward. But even then, the shift is clear. Ultimately, when someone gets a little jealous when you mention someone else, it's their heart's quiet protest. It's the unspoken wish that they could be the one you're talking about instead. They might not have told you yet how much they care, but in that moment of jealousy, their feelings speak for themselves. Loud, clear, and undeniably real. 7. Their body faces you even when they're talking to someone else. When someone likes you more than they can admit, their body begins to reveal the truth. Their words have yet to speak. One of the clearest physical signs is when their body naturally faces you, even when their attention is directed elsewhere. It might seem small, easy to miss, but it's a powerful and deeply unconscious form of emotional orientation. No matter who they're talking to or what the conversation is about, their body subtly turns toward you, as if you are their true center of gravity in the room. This kind of body language isn't planned. It's not something they consciously do to impress you. Instead, it happens automatically because they are instinctively drawn to your presence. Their feet, torso, or shoulders tilt your way, even when their words are focused on someone else. It's their body silently declaring where their focus truly wants to be. That slight angling, that lean, that orientation, it all says one thing: you're the one they're truly aware of. This behavior shows a sense of emotional alignment. It suggests they want to stay connected to you, even if it's just through proximity. Their subconscious is keeping a channel open between you and them, always facing in a way that invites closeness, attention, and even protection. It's as though their body refuses to fully turn away from you, like leaving that physical connection would feel too far, too disconnected, too wrong. Sometimes they might be across the room, engaged in conversation with others, but their body will still tilt your way. They'll keep you in their peripheral vision. They might glance over occasionally to check if you're still there or to catch your reaction. That pull toward you, that consistent awareness is a clear sign of deeper feelings. Their physical stance betrays the internal bond they feel, even if they haven't spoken a word about it. Even in group settings, this pattern repeats. While everyone else is seated or standing randomly, they somehow end up facing you or positioning themselves where they can see you. It's subtle, but consistent. And if someone else shifts the group's focus, they might adjust their position just slightly, enough to keep you in their view. That's not coincidence. That's emotional gravity at work. Their orientation also signals a desire for comfort. People tend to face what makes them feel safe, understood, or emotionally fulfilled. If they're facing you, even while distracted by others, it means you are their safe space. Their body language isn't just expressing interest, it's expressing trust, warmth, and a desire to stay emotionally tethered to you in some way. In some cases, they won't even realize what they're doing. You might notice it before they do. You'll catch them standing slightly angled toward you even when talking to someone else. You'll see them seated in a way that allows their body to naturally open toward your direction while still participating in another conversation. These little gestures accumulate into a silent confession, repeated over and over without words. What's more revealing is that their body doesn't behave this way with everyone. You might observe them with others, interacting, joking, conversing, but their body stays neutral or turned away or casually aligned. It's only when you're around that their stance changes. That's how you know it's not a general habit. It's about you. It's about what you represent to them emotionally, even if they're not ready to admit it. Sometimes their body will shift gradually as you move. You change your position, and a few minutes later, so do they, realigning to face your new location. That quiet following, that reorientation, isn't an accident. It's driven by a need to remain close, even if only through body language. Ultimately, when someone's body keeps facing you, even when their attention is divided, it's a physical truth emerging from emotional depth. It means they're present with you even when their words are elsewhere. Their body is choosing you, again and again, and that choice speaks louder than anything they might ever say aloud.